Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey. Welcome, Party Peeps, Business Coaching Secrets. Pleasure to have you guys all here and appreciate you guys listening in. I'm here as always with my boy Road Dog. Road Dog, you there, bud?
I am indeed.
Man. What's going on over that way, dude? Keeping busy, kicking ass, taking names?
What's going on that way? You mean like down the hill from the castle? Like from my morning walks, I just look up and it's tough, right? Like King Karl comes out and he looks on his down the valley.
Looking down on the people. Don't be silly, dude. I love you, bro. Okay, man. Hey, dude, I think we've got some questions here lined up. I'll tell you what, so I'm ready to rock and roll. Right. Why don't you hit me with it, man, including any live event questions that I think you might have as well. So fire away.
Yeah, I got a bunch here as per usual. So first one, sort of different. Like, again, obviously everyone's pretty concerned about websites and naming their businesses and things like that. So, obviously I've heard you say that you prefer the word marketing over coaching.
Yep.
Like why? Like why would you not want to use the word coaching?
Yeah, okay. Beauty question. And you'd be right. I prefer marketing over coaching. I'll tell you this: if your market is coaches like mine, then coaching and coach would actually make sense, right? So, but if your market is the small business owner, if you put coach in there, it's a bit like being a realtor. The reality is that, sometimes they've got these preconceived notions in and around it. And if they've had a coach and it didn't go well, or they know somebody took on a coach and it didn't go well, and anything similar to that, you can just fall in that basket and not get out. Okay. So versus marketing, I don't need to meet the business owner. And again, this is a black and white answer to a very gray question, but meeting the business owner, I can almost guarantee that they wake up in the morning, stare at their phone and go, I want this damn thing to ring. Or they go down to their inbox in the morning and pray to God that there's a bunch of inquiries off of their website or their social media action, what have you, in their inbox. And we all know that that's not their reality with ridiculous predictability, right? So therefore, what's the conversation going on inside their head? I suck at marketing, and if I had a genie popped out of a bottle, I'd say, give me and grant me the power to be able to generate leads at will, which most people think of the word marketing when they think of that. So if you put marketing in front, or consulting in front is another word that could work better, in my opinion, than coaching, because it's very multifaceted, right? The guy who drives traffic on Facebook, that's marketing. The guy who picks up the phone and telemarkets for you, this is marketing. So I prefer marketing a little bit outside the box, but again, this is a black and this is very gray. So I'd say that that's it. So when you're naming your company, I think that you could probably get further. But if you're attracting coaches, again, ironically, marketing is better. But let me explain this differently, okay? Because I think where the genesis of the question is just at the end of the day, we want to be able to market better. And then so I'd answer that question very, very differently. The name of your company, nobody gives a crap, okay, apart from you. So like a business card and your logo, nobody gives a crap apart from you. What I want you to think about is products, programs, and events. That's where you want to come up with names. Like as an example, I've got so ABE, Achieving Business Excellence. That's one of my business coaching programs. GPS, Guaranteed Profit System. That's one of my products, right? Programs, Live Event Mastery is something we teach business owners business coaches how to fill local live events falling off a log. It's hard, bloody work, but we have a process that works with 100% certainty they follow it, they do it. We call it live event mastery, right? So again, a name or the event. We have an event coming up in Cancun. By the way, if you're not coming, you guys should absolutely be there. It's BCM5, Business Coaching Mastery 5. And 5 because it's the 5th year that we've done it. Pretty obvious, I would guess, but Business Coaching Mastery. So forget us. What about guys? What are the name of your products? What are the name of your programs? And what are the name of your events? I would spend the time on that times 1,000 over the name of your company. Like that's what you want to be promoting, right? So maybe another example, like BlackBerry. Remember BlackBerry and iPhone? In fact, Road Dogg, I think you might have shared this with me. Were you one of those guys, man, that held on to your BlackBerry to the very, very end like I was? Because I was like, this thing's so easy to type. The friggin' iPhone, right? Like I'm driving, I can't feel the buttons, and it drives me nuts. Were you with me, Road Dogg, on that one? Were you BlackBerry guy at the very end?
I still actually have a BlackBerry. That it's like not even that old. It's crazy. Like I'm to the bitter end.
Okay, for you, with the buttons, right? So it's easier to type. It's 100 times better solution when it comes, because you send, the long emails, long texts, right? It's beautiful. You love that keyboard, I'd imagine, right?
Love it.
You, me, and everybody else did. Then why did iPhone kick their ass? And I'll tell you why. Did they ever? I mean, BlackBerry. I don't even, like, maybe there's a new BlackBerry out there. I know there was maybe a year or two ago, whatever. The bottom line is it's not even a competition. Like, you guys are even listening and going, BlackBerry, yeah, I remember that, right? I think they called them Blackberries, right? Like that was the nickname. But here's the question. And I love doing this. You give me a room of 100 people and I ask this question, and very, very seldom will I ever get the right answer. Why did BlackBerry get their ass kicked by iPhone? And let me tell you, Steve Jobs, this is important, I think. He started at Atari, right? So he worked at Atari. Well, no one gave a crap about Atari. They fell in love with Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and the games. Okay, the same way that nobody loves Nintendo, they love Super Mario Brothers. Okay, the reason you adopted the iPhone is because you fell in love with the apps. You love the weather, you love to check your stocks, you love all that stuff. BlackBerry didn't adopt, so the what's it called? The App Store murdered BlackBerry, not Steve Jobs and the iPhone, etc. It wasn't the box; it was the apps that fall on it. So again, it's the Miss Pac-Man on your phone, right? So I think that there's a magic. Why am I saying that? Products, programs, and events. That's what your clients are going to fall in love with. Or, Gary Vee, going back to, just marketing and how you do it. How did Gary Vee grow his parents' liquor store from 3 million to 60 million? He didn't change the name. He didn't change the logo. What he did, in fact, again, I think this is a huge marketing lesson for everybody listening, and I do think there's an application out there for coaches, and there most definitely is an application for your clients. But what they would do is they would advertise all the most popular alcohol. So that's Budweiser, okay? That's Jim Beam. I don't know. You go to the liquor store, whatever the 10 highest moved, or maybe even the 5 highest moving items, he would market those for basically at cost. In some cases, he even lose money, and he would market heavily, right? So if you could buy Bud for, $3 less for a 12-pack, and you drink a lot of Bud, you don't have a ton of dough, it's worth an extra kilometer, 2 kilometers, 2 miles, 5 miles, whatever, right? So they would do that. Now, the X factor is he would create traffic through those ads, and they would actually work. Most people advertise it doesn't go anywhere, but because he was thinking of it as a loss leader, they were actually coming in. Now what would happen? They'd walk in the store, okay, and then he would story tell, okay? He would tell stories about why they should buy X, Y, Z. What was he telling stories about? The stuff that he had huge margins. So he'd get the guy coming in to buy Bud, intercept him, and the guy would still buy the Bud, and he'd lose $2 or break even on the Bud. That's cool. But then he'd get him over to the wine selection, and he'd talk about his wife, and does she like red? Does she like white? Does she Pinot Noir and all? You know what I mean? And go into it, and then he'd start telling him a story about, like this particular family. Like, we actually know them. Like, I mean, they dropped this stuff off. You know what happened is that they were married, right? His husband, or sorry, it's a gay couple, but okay, her husband, right? And then his brother, the three of them actually started. What happened is the brother passed away. He fell into one of the machines. the brother tried to, like, he held his hand out and grabbed him, and he got sucked in too. The two of them died. By the way, I'm telling a true story of a winery right down the road from Road Dog and I. But two brothers, the wife, screwing this up royally. But anyway, so the wife thought, oh my God, you could imagine, she wanted to close the thing. She said, oh my God, like her husband just passed away, his brother passed away, they both got killed in this damn machine that makes all the wine. But she decided to press on. She brought in a business partner and it's called Silver Sage. You guys, you can check this out. Called Silver Sage. This is the story, making a little bit of a meal of it. But the bottom line is that he would tell a story and he would have these huge margins on different wines. He would tell a compelling story, and guess what the guy did? And by the way, he'd spend enormous, the liquor store. It's not like thousands and thousands of people are, ripping through this thing. So he would sell high margin alcohol to these folks, and the way he did it was through telling stories, right? So again, the question for you guys is, what do you guys have as a loss leader? Where are you guys losing money? If you gave me $100,000 to start a company, I don't care what kind of business it would be, I would spend every cent of the $100,000 buying clients, buying ideal clients. And ideal clients they want what they want and need, what it is that I deliver, and they can afford me. There's an ideal client. So I would pay to acquire those folks. And that's basically what Gary Vee did. So where are you guys telling your story? How are you going about getting people on the phone for 15 minutes, right? And one of the other things that he did, Gary Vee, that I think is very, very relevant, he watched people walk in the store and he found very distinct patterns on where they go. Like they'd come in and then they would shoot off to the left as an example, right? I can't remember exactly, but let's assume that's the way it is. Well, so when you walked in and immediately to the left, this wasn't a place for the cash register. This was a place to merchandise. So we actually created a top 10 there, and the top 10, and guess what? And it was top 10 in that it was popular, it was good, it was stuff that he approved of, but it was also part of the stuff that he approved and really liked had ridiculous margins, right? So this is how you create a business that absolutely murders it, right? So he had a loss leader, he advertised, so he had a top 10. One of the things that I used to own a hockey rink many years ago, a hockey rink in a retail store, I created the starter kit. You can just think of the psyche of mom who's come in, she's about to get her kid started in hockey. If you don't know anything about hockey, it's very expensive to play, right? The skates and knee pads and the kids grow, yada, yada, yada. It's not like a pair of soccer, you need a pair of shorts and running shoes, right? Hockey is on a totally different level, and the ice time is also very expensive because on the same size court as you could have 4 basketball courts, you can only have 1 ice hockey game. So basically there's 10 kids active at one time, where in basketball you'd have 4 times that. Okay, so that's why that's the main reason why hockey is so expensive, and you got to keep the damn thing frozen. Basketball, you just got to, clean the floor at night. But anywho, so what do you think mom's thinking? She's thinking it's expensive. So a starter kit, which by the way was incredibly inexpensive, but we knew lifetime value of our clients. And once we got once we got the kid, the stick and the gloves, the kids would go home and sleep with their bloody sticks, right? We've all seen that, right? When kids get into it. Like my daughter, I got her into gymnastics last year. She slept in she didn't want to wear pajamas. She wanted to sleep in her new gymnastics outfit that she thought was absolutely kick butt, right? So anywho, so that question, Road Dog, we're asking about the name of the company, and I know like this, marketing or coaching, the genesis of it is how to market your coaching business at a higher level. So let's go off that rant there, like where let's make sure that you're doing this. Don't worry about the name of your company. It's so secondary. Nobody should ever hear it. But Gary Vee, he wasn't promoting the name of his company. That's where I was going also with that. It wouldn't even have made the ad. If it made the ad, it was on the bottom right-hand corner. Most folks are putting this, if you look at the ads in the newspaper and the magazines and, even over the radio and whatnot, it's coming first. It's not where it belongs. He was promoting products. Law said not only products, but products that he was losing money on. When you go into common sense corner, that doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. Why the hell would he advertise things and then lose money? But he was willing, his competitive advantage is that he was willing to work harder than they were. So he murdered it. So anyway, it's a little thing for top 10 and starter kit. So that's the way I would answer that. But marketing over coaching, again, this is a black and white answer to a very gray question, but I wouldn't worry so much about it. Like if you asked me that question, I would say, name me your products, programs, and events, and then I would rank those because that's what you should really be marketing.
It's interesting because I asked you, I think, that very question a few months ago, and it didn't take you 15 minutes to answer. All you said was, "What's the result they're looking for?" I think that was pretty much all you said. And I'm like,
You're not gonna ask me the questions, man. You paraphrase all this stuff. Make a very shorter podcast.
Speaking of Gary V, and let's talk about BlackBerry for a second. So BlackBerry, I've got this, this is the one that's like a year old, right? I don't use it anymore. I've got my iPhone 10 like everybody else. But I tried typing on it the other day. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like it's painful. Like, because you become so accustomed.
Really?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But I was actually, ironically enough, yesterday there was a Gary V video that popped up on my Facebook or Insta or whatever, and it was him. I don't even know how many years ago that would have been, talking about BlackBerry and how they're going to get their their ass handed to them essentially by iPhone and by Apple, because of exactly what you just said, because of apps. And he's like, look,
oh really?
The keyboard is not going to be enough to save them. So I thought that's very interesting. Gary V's on top of that. So let's dive deep in the mind of King Karl here for a second. What's a contrarian point of view that you have, or that you believe in?
A contrarian point of view. This would be a good idea if I ask these questions before we go on here. Contrarian point of view. Okay, I would say this. Like most people, in fact, I think I read an email about this earlier. But like most people are saying, like, you watch what the marketplace says, and then you kind of market to that. But I would, it's much, actually, let me just tell you this. It's much harder than that. So obviously you watch what people are saying and then you respond to it. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say, nice tight. But in actuality, it's much harder to do. What you really have to do is see, what do people do? What do they respond to? What do they emotionally respond to? I'll give you an example of this. When is the last time you heard somebody say, I hate drama? Or they said, anybody who causes drama in my life, I just cut them out. I'm telling you with 100% certainty, the person that just said that is a drama friggin' magnet constantly, right? So what they're saying, like when you look on social media, people put out there what they want to put out there. It's like a mask, right? I think it's like, I'm thinking like, Jim Carrey in the movie Mask, which by the way, I absolutely love that movie, right? But it's like they're putting on this mask. You know what I mean? The market is not that easy, but it's harder work, but you really want to see what they are, what they're responding to. So I think that's contrary. I think, again, typical marketing, just watch the marketplace and then, basically respond to that. I would say that word of mouth, on this podcast, again, we've talked about this at different times, but word of mouth and referrals is the way to grow a business. I think that's absolutely hogwash. When you meet a client, you sit down with them, and then you say, so how do you grow your business? We've all seen this. And then they say, word of mouth and referrals, and they kind of pump their chest like as though this is they're so proud of it, right? Like, I've never spent $1 on advertising anywhere. And I built this entire thing on word of mouth and referrals. I just put my head in my hands and go, oh, Lordy, another one, right? Like, are you kidding me? Sure. And of course you should be attracting word of mouth. And of course you should be attracting referrals. But that's just gravy. That's like, froth on the top of a cappuccino. A superpower is advertising the profit. When you can help your client, or when you can advertise and turn it into money, this is where you grow. This is how you move towards 10xing. And your clients, without pressure, without question, you should be moving to I'm going to put I say advertising, but it's really advertising and marketing. You can take social media posts and you can turn them into money. Absolutely, I think that's powerful. Things like contrarian viewpoint, the 4-hour work week, right? Like all the time, especially in our space where coaches, like I hear people, like lambasting Tim Ferriss in the 4-hour work week. Anybody lambasting that hasn't read the book, right? You read the cover and you think you know what the hell you're talking about. The entire book is about getting 40 hours of work done in 4 hours. It's not be a lazy jerk off and ski all day and golf all day and not do anything and not accomplish anything. It's not what the book's about. The book is about not confusing being busy with being successful. And yes, there's a component of it. It's not necessary for you to do 40, 50, 60 hours. Like, this is not a trophy. Like, that's in there. But in no way, shape, or form, and if you understand and follow Tim Ferriss, in no way, shape, or form would be saying that, everybody should just sit on their, fat butt and basically just let the, and not do anything. That's absolutely not the case. So I guess that's contrarian. I'm just kind of I'm kind of pulling at real estate. Again, if you guys follow me, you know that I've got a little bit of I don't know that I have a passion for real estate, but it is something that I've studied at a pretty high level and done pretty well in. There's one rule, like, how many people, like they basically buy a house and then they upgrade. Like, you buy a $500,000 house and then you move into a $750,000, and then $750,000 and you move into a $1 million house, and everybody around you and the family's going, oh my gosh, you're doing so well and it's so amazing. Well, there's one rule and one rule only. If you want to make a bucket load of money with real estate, and unfortunately in real estate is more than probably other niches, but absolutely critical. Like, it's an investment. So you have to think in 10 years. You got to think in decades, not years. Otherwise, you're going to, at some stage, you'll lose money, right? Like, you may make it on the way up, but at some stage, a 2008, I'm just going to put that in quotations, will happen. And in one house, you'll take a bath and set yourself back many, many years. So if you've ever met anybody or a family with old money, you guys all know that expression, right? Old money. Well, if you show me that family, I will introduce you to great grandparents that never sold valuable assets. That's it. Either a business, real estate, what have you. So again, contrarian, I think, on steroids. Again, I don't know that I've ever even heard that advice in the real estate space, but I just say 4 words. Old money equals never sell. So that's something that I would encourage. It's very hard to do, and there will be tough times, and there will be corrections, and there will be recessions. But if you look at it over the long haul, you see, when I retire, I don't want to retire with a whole bucket load of money. Let's just, $10 million for the sake of the argument, right? That's not a bucket load of money, but I want to retire with 10 million. Look, wouldn't that be fabulous? Most of you are thinking. Significantly more important to me than $10 million is that I want to retire with income. Okay. Income. So, like, if I owned 2 houses and they rented out for $3,500 each, and again, I'm just pulling a number out, that would be $7,000 a month of rental income for the rest of my life. Right? And yes, you have to renovate and improve and new tiles. And again, this is where people drop the ball, right? With old money equals never sell. You have to spend money on these assets as you're moving along and not really realize any gains, right? And if you don't do that, if you don't do the roof, if you don't do the windows, etc., the house starts falling apart. And this is, all of a sudden you get a tear down on your hands, and this could, this can be very bad. But even if so, you'd still end up doing well. But contrarian view, old money equals never sell. If you're in real estate, you want to be very, very rich. I would highly encourage you, whatever house that you're in, but here's another thing, real estate, and this is not contrarian, but I think very important. Strata, if that rule doesn't apply, if you're paying like condo fees, land appreciates, building depreciate. Okay, so again, I've actually been pulled up on this before. So to be clear, if you're paying fees to someone, okay, other than tax to the government, which is fine, right, for the land, that it doesn't apply, because all they're going to do is they're going to continue to jack up your fees. You're really never getting anywhere. So you need to buy land, even if it's a crap house. The bigger the lot, and if you could subdivide it and all that sort of stuff, that could be exciting over time. So I would say, so that's a little bit about real estate. Again, a topic that I'm very, very, passionate about. So I don't really, so contrarian views. Here's something else. Just over the weekend, I was just reading about Elon Musk. In fact, it might have entered one of my emails. But look, Elon Musk is trying to colonize Mars, right? Okay, like, pretty decent question, pretty decent undertaking. And I'll be talking to a business coach trying to put 10 people in a room, like decision makers. We don't want 10 people. We want 10 decision makers, as in 10 business owners in a room. And yes, that might require a little bit of cold calling. Like, if you don't have a big market, nobody knows who the hell you are, you're going to have to pick up the phone. And no, social media will not get it done in any way, shape, or form. It will assist, but if you plan on filling events with social media, I got very bad news for you. That can work. And Frank Kern and these other pros do it, but they've been at it for, 2 decades, right? So you can't even compare it. If you're a business coach without a network out cranking, you're going to have to phone and introduce yourself to people who don't know you, right? Otherwise, could be mistaken as a cold call. It really doesn't matter. You need to do that. But it's not so much a contrarian view, but it's a contrarian act, I think, right? You just, if you were coaching me, Road Dog, you're my coach for a minute. We want to do a local live event. And you say, okay, Karl, you're my client. Now we're going to put 10 people in this room on this date. We're going to, the most expensive, again, I hire, like most business coaches are going to the Holiday Inn. In fact, Road Dog, we did an event, right? Road Dog and I did a live event, get up there. I did we were, teamed up, he helped, he filled the room, this, that, and the other. I got up there. We got 100% conversion. Every single person in the room bought. But by the way, here's the other side of it. There was only 12 people in the room, and there were 7 decision makers, right? There was 10 that we figured were going to be rolling up, but only 7 showed up. All 7 of them bought high-end coaching. That's not appointment. That's high-end coaching on a 12-month minimum agreement. One of them did fall off, right? Road Dog, so that was a bit of a bummer. So maybe you could say we went 6 or 7, but all 7 said yes, signed, sealed, and delivered. What I want to bring across, if you were coaching me, Road Dog, and you said, Phil, put 10 people in the room, and I would say, okay, well, what do I need to undertake to do that? And you'd say X amount of social media posts, X amount of messages on Facebook, X amount of messages on LinkedIn, X amount of research in order to, you magically I don't know who to call and who to message. I need to do a little bit of homework first. And there would be X amount of calls required and probably a joint venture included in there. I wouldn't do what Road Dog recommended I do. I wouldn't do what he said I should do. I would do what it takes. That's it. Do you know what I mean? Whatever it took. At the same time, he would be my coach and he would provide me guidance and a roadmap as to what his experience said. But I want you to think of the difference in the psyche. So you just contrarian. I don't know if it's contrarian or what it is, but I can tell you, I don't see it very often. And if you want to do a local live event, you got to commit to doing what it takes, not the other. And then again, if you want to get inspired, just think of Elon Musk in his office right now, thinking about colonizing Mars, right? Like, are you freaking kidding me? Right? Like, and you want to put 10 people in the room. It's just not that hard. So Road Dog, that'd be my answer. I don't know how contrarian all of those are, but I can tell you. Oh, go Road Dog. Yeah, let me hear you, bud.
This is news from this morning. So those of you who don't know a gentleman by the name of Jim Pattison, this guy is one of the richest men in all of Canada. Like you know Jim Pattison, right, Karl?
Oh,
So the news this morning that comes out is billionaire Jim Pattison offers to take lumber maker Canfor private. So he's looking at the lumber industry, which, as if anybody that's again, I'm not sure how many people are following the lumber market, but obviously fallen on extremely hard times. And he's looking to make a $981 million investment to take this company private. There's a contrarian view.
I love it. Well, okay, so it reminds me of 2008. Most people were literally selling their stocks, right? And then the contrarian. What do you think Warren Buffett was doing? Like, what do you think the big dogs were doing? They were buying. Everything was on sale. In 2008, were you buying real estate or shit scared of it? It was like contrarian on steroids to be buying up real estate. But if you bought in 2008, that's what Grant Cardone did. And the guy's, he's got his own jet. He's worth, I don't know what. I think he promotes 500 million, whatever it is. But 2008 was like the greatest thing that ever happened to him. And he nearly went bankrupt, by the way. May have. I don't think he did, but he nearly went bankrupt. But he looks back at that, how amazing it was. Right. So, yeah, just, thinking, just very powerful, I believe, to be thinking against the grain. If you look at the results of 90% of the population, I think you guys would agree that you don't want to be in there with it. So I love the question of, contrarian viewpoints. And I most definitely love the thought of you guys all, like when something appears to be common sense, when something appears to be the norm, wrestle it a little bit. Don't automatically think this stuff through. Think strategically. Think in 10 years. Go from a macro level and make a decision. But very, very powerful. I think to start thinking, what in most people's world would be backwards, I guess.
Well, and I think it's also interesting to take a look at any sort of an existing strategy. Coming out of financial services myself, I fell into the trap where I was, the belief of I can only do this, compliance will only allow me to do that. And you fall into these limiting beliefs. Well, what if the opposite were true? What's the contrarian view of marketing in this industry? I think that's a very good way for all of us as coaches to look at things as well, is what's the opposite? And then how else? It's not like anything. Now we could get into a whole Tony Robbins conversation, right? Where it's not about your resources, but how resourceful you are to actually get the result that you want.
Yep. Love it, dude. Love it, man.
All right. So now that we beat that horse to death, that's great. So let's round it out with one last question. And that question, quite simply, is as I've stated, I'm going to be doing 2 live events over the next few weeks here. So give me the secret script, Karl. Like, lay it on me, my friend. What is the thing that is going to have everyone salivating and just giddy with excitement to come to our event next week?
Well, you just got to put a picture of me on there, and you're going to see my incredibly handsome locks and say, my goodness, if that handsome double's going to be there, I'm all over it. So be all women. I hope you like coaching women, man, because we're going to attract a whole bunch of them. So now anyone who's seen a photo of me knows that I'm totally full of crap right now. But anyways, okay, so I mean, again, secret sauce, hard. The competitive advantage, like Road Dogg, you in particular, right? Like, we're buddies. Your competitive advantage is your, sheer brute determination. Like, guys, Road Dogg, you ever seen the size of him? Right? He looks like Hulk Hogan when he takes off his shirt. Big man. Follow him on Instagram. I'm pretty sure he's got some photos there, pumping some reasonably heavy weight. But your competitive advantage is the same attitude you have in the gym you have in life, and therefore that hard work is going to be. I really want to. That's going to be your competitive advantage. Like, don't do what it appears to be the roadmap and how many messages and how many calls. What you got to do is you got to do exactly what it takes. But we all know that one. That's kind of the raw personal development aspect of it. But here's what, if you ask me secret sauce, I would say this. And this is how I build over 400 local live events. And there's always this kind of component to it. There needs to be a reason. Okay. So as an example, you have a full page ad in the local newspaper, and yes, local newspaper still exists. That's the reason I want you to be one of my attendees. You've got a line ad in the same newspaper. That's the reason, because why the hell are you buying a line ad when you could be buying something significantly bigger and promoting it? If you've got one in the middle, that would also become the reason. If you're number one on Google, you're a realtor and you're number one on Google, this is the reason. If you're a realtor and you're number 2 on Google, that becomes the reason. If you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, there's your reason. If you're the BNI, that's the reason. So I'm at a stoplight and you drive up and you've got you're a plumbing company and you got a sign on the side of your truck. If the sign is excellent, that's the reason. If it's horrific, that's the reason. But the fact that you and I pulled up to the light at the same time, that becomes the reason. So that, so there's always a reason. It takes more work. If there's top 40 under 40, right? Like, we live in Kelowna. Well, if you were nominated for it, that's the reason. If you won, that's the reason. There's going to be local, like, we live in a city called Kelowna, about 200,000 people. There's going to be awards last year, this year, and like multiple of them. The Chamber of Commerce would have some kind of awards. The local newspaper will have some kind of awards. The online directory will have some kind of awards. Well, if you were nominated for an award, that's the reason. If you won the award, that's the reason. If you didn't win, that's the reason. So that's kind of the secret sauce. You've always got to have that reason frame. And I just, this is where you could legitimately, like, last time I remember, Road Dogg, you filled that event. Like, we got 10. What did the numbers look like? Because you did a similar process to that. Maybe not quite that dialed in, but I remember your conversion was just insane. What was it?
Well, we had 7 decision makers. Well, yeah, it was 7 decision makers. All of them did our 10K follow-up challenge meeting, and then 6 of them converted.
So, okay. So what about, but I mean, from the front end, how many phone calls did you, like, you know what I mean? Wasn't
Not
that
that
conversion
many.
stupidly high?
And that's the thing. It was not that many. For whatever reason that was, I would say no more than, 20 phone calls.
Yeah. Okay. So, but okay. So the magic of that, though, and I don't want just everybody listening. Like, we have a program, Live Event Mastery, and that's basically what we're followed here, right? But I don't want to manage expectations. Don't expect to just make 20 phone calls and get 7 decision makers in the room. Understand, Road Dogg is a seasoned sales professional. He knows his stuff. And I also like the homework that, like, you didn't just randomly open up the newspaper and start calling people. I mean, these were targeted folks, which again, that comes back to something I often talk about. You got to respect your audience, right? Like, don't just sporadically, like before you phone them, if you went to their private space, if you really saw somebody, they were like the number one realtor, the number one mortgage broker, the number one this, the number one that, like, do some homework. And with homework, like, take 3, what you could accomplish in this day and age with the beautiful thing called Google, and Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, etc. Like, what you could find out about the realtor in like record frigging time could blow your mind. Like, how many kids, his wife's name, where his kid goes to school. You also don't get too weird about it, right? But like, when you phone them, you are going to be able to, these reasons and the connection that you could have with them. I think it might actually also be powerful. Recently, I wrote an email. What do we call it? The NC1701. The name of the original Star Trek Enterprise. It comes from that, but it's like the effect. And basically, what it says is like, when you and I connect with a really, something strange and weird, like i.e. being a Trekkie, right? So if I love Star Trek and you love Star Trek, then we connect at a really high level almost instantly. If, like, I'm a hockey player and we played on the same hockey team in the same town, but like in different years, we're like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. The connection that we have instantly when we discover that will blow you away. So what I'm getting at, and then the odder it is, right? Like, what I would say is, that in the email, what I said, like, I'm a mad hockey guy, right? So Toronto Maple Leafs are my favorite team. Number 22 is I'd prefer to stay home than not wear 22 when I play hockey. Weird, but I just love the number 22. Tiger Williams is the reason I wear number 22, and he's my favorite hockey player. Like a small, really scrappy guy. When he retired, he had like the most fights and the most penalty minutes of all time in the NHL. Just love the guy. But anywho, so if you and I met, and a few other things. So if you and I met, and we were both mad hockey players, both mad hockey fans, both loved the Toronto Maple Leafs, both wore number 22, and both loved Tiger Williams, and we both talked about the time when he scored the big goal in the playoffs and rode his stick from one end of the rink to the other, I could sell you anything. Like, literally, because our connection would be that strong. Okay, so are you going to be able to go that deep, and are you going to have that strong of a connection? Probably not, but I want to give it to you as an example. Asking questions. When you're asking questions, sometimes I find coaches, it's like, you got to really, dive deep and ask these questions, X, Y, Z. Well, when you're asking these questions, I also want you to be looking for some things that you can relate to. In fact, again, back in the day, I was selling you coaching, which was all, again, this is, pre, 2005 and earlier. I mean, the internet just was not what the internet is today. End of story. We were doing a lot of this stuff face to face, right? So when I walked into your office, your house, your boardroom, it didn't matter. When I walked in, my spidey sensor, scanning the room, I'm looking for photo very, very quickly. And because I've done it 1,000 times, frankly, I'm very good at it. But I'm looking for photos. I'm looking for art. I'm looking for things on your desk. If it's messy, you're disorganized. If it's super clean, you're probably an analytical type. Which, by the way, if you're analytical, you told me to talk a little bit slower. If you're super disorganized, you're a sales guy. Well, probably I'll amp up the intensity and the speed of my conversation. A bunch of other stuff. But when I walk in, I wanted to do 2 things. One, I wanted to compliment. Oh my God, what a beautiful office! What a beautiful home! What a beautiful family! What a beautiful photo! What a beautiful jersey on your wall! Gee, did you play hockey for Team Canada? Whatever, right? So number 1 is compliment, and then number 2, and don't be cheesy, right? Don't offer little green disgusting pants. Don't compliment them if you don't mean it, right? So I'm not talking about being a cheeseball here. I'm talking about being genuine. But if you can't find something to compliment, right? You might want to, that's insane. Like you should be able to find something very quickly and very easily you genuinely want to compliment. And then number two, I want to relate. Oh, wow, you've got 3 kids? I've got 3 kids. Oh, wow, you grew up in the country? I grew up in the country. Oh, wow, you play hockey? I play hockey. Oh, wow, you played for Team Canada? Gee, I played for Team Canada. Oh, gee, whatever it is, I want to relate, okay? And even like I've got a 6-year-old. Oh, wow, you've got a 6-year-old granddaughter? I've got a 6-year-old daughter. Oh, my God, it's so cool. I got a 6. It's such an amazing age. So basically compliment and relate, okay? So how we got off on that too, though, and the more obscure, the more powerful. So again, by looking at LinkedIn, looking at Instagram, looking at Facebook, looking through their posts over the last 2 years, right? And again, this could be you want to get this person in the event and you feel like, they're a realtor and you know how to hit homes with realtors because frankly, realtors are very easy to coach. They're salespeople, so sometimes they can kind of, they cancel in 90 days often, so you got to manage that. But at the end of the day, if this is a kick-ass realtor and you know how to help realtors, you should, get them into the, I would go a little bit above and beyond and spend a little more time on that call. And that's the way Road Dogg made 20 calls. So that's 7 people to show up to an event, right? Like he wasn't just sporadically calling people, off of the internet. He was delving down and doing deep. So anyway, so that's, the event. There we go. That's the reason. The reason is the closest thing that I could think of, the secret sauce. And respect your audience. When you get there, be prepared and do a hell of a job. I don't care that you don't like speaking in public. I don't care that your hair doesn't look perfect that day. What I care about is the words that come out of your mouth basically direct the people in the audience, whether they pay you money or not, at the highest level possible. Respect that audience. That's what Tony Robbins has done so well for so long. Some people give him a hard time. Some people love the man. It really doesn't matter. You cannot argue with his success. And I can tell you that he respects his audience at the highest level, and he has for many, many years. And that's why people go to his programs 5, 10, 15, 20 times over the years. Like, who else would do that? You know what I mean? Like, it's very, whether they pay you or not, you have to respect them at the highest level. Even when you cold call them for the event, respect them, respect their time. If they're pissed off or whatever, don't get pissed off back. Like, respect the fact that they're probably just having a bad day, right? And just let them off the hook and don't worry, it's all good, and then move on, and don't all of a sudden stop making phone calls also because one guy got upset and is having a bad day because he had a fight with his wife this morning that you don't know about, right? So respecting the audience is also absolutely critical. So that's what I'd say, dude. Reason would be the closest thing to secret sauce.
You talk about doing your homework, and never, ever have we ever been in a time where it's easier to do your homework, right? Especially somebody that's in a business that's doing sales. Man, they spread their information everywhere. Just look on social media. Go to Facebook, go to Instagram, go to LinkedIn, like go to Alignable, go wherever. Like there's so many different sources where people are putting out all of their info. And so it's never been easier to actually get to know somebody. And then if you even want to take it a step further, take a look at who their friends are. Like, who are their business partner, entrepreneurial friends? Hey, I was speaking with your friend. It doesn't matter whether or not they gave you permission. Like, I was speaking with your friend so-and-so about coming to this event. They seem pretty excited to come, right? Like, it's just leveraging the power of the information that we all have available to us.
Agreed, dude. I couldn't have said it better myself, and I agree wholeheartedly. For sure.
Awesome, dude. Well, let's wrap it up. It's top of the hour. Let's get everyone on their way and making the calls. And as I close, just another one of these weird sort of scenarios where I swear at times we do in fact share a brain. Yesterday, seriously, in my journal, I wrote this down yesterday. Okay, I put down, because I was doing my weekly planning and everything else, and like you always talk about, hey, just reach out to 3 people a day. And I was like, you know what? I wrote down, I'm going to read this word for word, change my mindset from doing 3 or 10 calls to doing as many as I need to get the result.
I love it, dude. When did you write that down?
Like it's just a small shift, but I think we're all giving ourselves a pass at times of I'm only going to do, you know what? I was told I only need to do 3 calls a day. Let's stop that. Let's stop giving ourselves a pass and an excuse to stop. One of the things that I have written on my whiteboard here, very boldly here, and it says, I will stop stopping. And that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received.
Cool. Oh my God, I love it, dude. I love it. I'm stealing that one, man. I must stop stopping. Oh my God, that's friggin' beauty. Powerful, dude. When did you write that down, though? Did you say, when did you write that down about the
last
whatever
night.
It takes?
Yeah,
last
night.
Yeah. There we go, dude. I love it, man. Yeah, we've seen those coincidences a few times, man. I love it, dude. I love it. All right, cool. Well, man, that's awesome. Appreciate you, bud. As always, great job. We'll see you same place, same time, same place next week. And those of you listening, appreciate you guys being here, of course, listening to the podcast. If you could do us a favor, if you could give us a rating. And, of course, no doubt it's going to be an exceptional one. But, of course, we appreciate that on iTunes. And give us a review. Super appreciate it. And also, if you could share this bad boy with any other coaches you know that feel could leverage or use this information, please do that on social media. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate you being here. And we'll be speaking to you same time, same place next week. Like I said, thanks, Road Dog.
All right, guys. Make it a great week.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at Focused.com.